My name is Paul Wolliver. I'm the owner of Pinellas Power Products. This is my extended runtime fuel tank kit for the Chinese generators that are using the RATO, R-A-T-O, 212cc engine. For the purpose of this, I will be demonstrating it on a WEN 3800 generator. The Chinese generator companies have a tendency to buy the engines and then buy generators and then assemble them all together. It's just like with the Predator 3500, Power Horse 3500, Echo Bearcat 3500, all use the Predator 212 Hemi head engine. Or the Champion, the Boley, and so on use the knockoff of the Yamaha 171cc engine. Well, this video is to cover anything using the RATO, R-A-T-O 212 engine. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to be using the WEN 3800. My extended run fuel kits are not a gravity feed system. The generator does not have to be lower than the fuel tank. If you go with a gravity feed system that goes through the fuel cap, what you're going to do is you're going to have fuel transferring from the remote tank into the stock tank. It's going to overfill the stock tank, go out through the stock tank overflow into the evaporative emissions canister, and then you're going to have fuel dripping out of the bottom of the generator, if you're lucky. Otherwise, you just have it burning up the fuel in a massive fire in your driveway. And hopefully, if you do choose to buy one of those kits, you test it in your driveway, away from anything valuable and any family members. I cannot possibly overstress how concerned I am about people trying to use gravity feed into a vented fuel system or one with an evaporative emissions canister. At any rate, like I said, my kits are not a gravity feed. They use a fuel pump to transfer fuel safely. So the fuel tank does not have to be higher than the generator. The kit comes with a 9-foot fuel hose with U.S. Coast Guard NMMA, which is National Marine Manufacturers Association approved fuel fittings. I use the Yamaha style. They are not compatible with Evinrude. They are not compatible with Mercury. So if you do want to use my kit and you want to purchase additional fuel fittings, you can purchase it from me or get the genuine Yamaha fuel fittings. At any rate, there is a decal included in my kit that explains exactly how to use the system, and I'm going to go over that right now. I forgot to put the decal in on the assembly instructions, but I'll cover it right now. So the fuel hose will have an arrow, and it points in the direction of fuel flow. You'll hook one end to the fuel tank, the other end to the quick disconnect fitting on the top of the generator. I'm using a 30-gallon tank for this video only because I have a 30-gallon tank and I use it a lot. If you're going camping or something like that, I would actually recommend a 6-gallon tank, because a 6-gallon tank full of fuel is only 50 pounds, a lot easier to carry. If you need more than 6 gallons, I would actually recommend 2 6-gallon tanks and rotate them out when the tank is empty. If you do it that way, my kit comes with a fitting for the generator end and a fitting for the fuel tank end. So if you're going to be using 2 fuel tanks, order an additional fitting, and it's right there on my website next to the fuel kit. So you've got the fittings for 1 tank. If you're going to use 2 tanks and rotate them out, you'll need 1 extra fitting. If you're going to use 3 tanks, you'll need 2 extra fittings. At any rate, once you've got the hose connected up, move the fuel selector valve to the run position, and then pump the prime bulb a few times. And all you're doing here is getting the air out of the system. When you first hook it up, you'll need to do this step. You won't need to do this step every time you start it, just if you've disconnected or reconnected the hose, because you don't want to have an air bubble in it and stall the engine. Once your generator is started and running, then you can move it to the auto off position. And what that does is it shuts off the fuel selector valve from the stock tank, and it only pulls off the remote tank. And let me cover that on this model generator also. If you have my kit hooked up and the fuel selector valve in the run position, it's pulling fuel only from the stock tank. And as soon as the stock tank is empty, the generator will stall, even though the remote tank is hooked up, because it'll pull all the gas out of the stock tank, and then it'll continue pulling air out of the stock tank and stall. So if you put the fuel selector valve to the off position, it is running only off of the remote tank, and it'll pull all the fuel out of the remote tank. And when it starts to stumble or whatever, You can move it to the stock tank right here, or disconnect the quick disconnect fitting from one remote tank and put it onto the other. As I said earlier, there is a decal with the instructions here. You'll notice step 7 of the decal says to move the fuel selector valve to the off position. That is not a misprint. So once you've got the thing primed, move the fuel selector valve to the run position or the start position, which is simply choke, and push the button. When you've got it started up, move it all the way to the off or auto off position, and now it's running off the remote tank entirely. I'm going to shut it down so you can hear me talking. If you purchase one of these kits, it comes with everything you need except for the fuel tank itself. As I stated earlier, I prefer the 6-gallon tank because they're light enough to be able to carry. They're available from like Bass Pro Shops or any marine dealer. They use a quarter pipe fitting at the top, and the fuel fittings that I supply in the kit have quarter pipe fittings. And you purchase 1, 2, 3, or whatever. The reason I don't include the fuel tanks in my kit is because I'm in Florida, and if you're in, say, Alaska or Oregon or something like that, you're paying shipping fees to have a giant box of air shipped across the country, which is not necessarily a good idea. Also, it seems that no two people need the exact same size tank. There are different manufacturers, Moeller, Atwood, Tempo, and so forth. I have a link on my website to one of the manufacturers, and they make tanks from 3 gallons all the way up to, I think, 100 gallons. So depending on what your application is, there is a tank exactly the size that you need it. If you have any questions or anything like that, don't hesitate to call me. My phone number is available on my website. There is a link at the bottom of this video to go to my website. It'll have everything you need to know about this kit. If you have any questions that I haven't answered on these videos or haven't answered on the website, then go ahead and give me a call and I can answer them for you. Thank you for your time.